Hi everybody, Nathan here again for another Take 10, the art challenge where I take 10 minutes out of my day to draw something for myself, or in this case to ink something I've already drawn. This is another handheld video recording from work, drawing one hand, camera, phone in the other. I apologize for the blurriness and shakiness here. It gets a little bit better. There's a still at the end too, if that helps. Hopefully it won't be this bad all the way through. This is the first time I've reviewed the video footage. I am, of course, not speaking to you as I ink this. I'm recording the audio after the fact at home on my phone again. It's amazing how much you can do with this little pocket tool. I use a Galaxy Note 4, so it's not exactly pocket sized, but it's still pretty impressive. Today, like I said, I'm doing some ink lines over a drawing that I'd already done. It's sort of a were-rat kind of creature. I do a lot of these sometimes. I just think they're kind of menacing, and I like the fact that you wouldn't think of rats as being as dangerous as wolves, although rats have probably killed more people than wolves thanks to the bubonic plague. But the thing I like about were-rats is they always have a bit of seediness to them. They're kind of scrawny and dangerous looking. At least were-rats are. Real rats are actually kind of sweet from what I've seen. They're pretty nice. Mice are not. Mice can be vicious little animals, but rats are fairly decent unless they're rabid or something. Not that you should go out and pet rats that you find in the wild, but if you have a pet rat, it's much more likely to be friendly than if you have a pet mouse. At least that's what the scars on my fingers would let you know. So, thinking about today's challenge, I was actually listening to a podcast I like to listen to. It's actually a video. I guess vidcast is the right term. I have no idea. But it's called One Fantastic Week. It's a couple of fantasy artists who get together and basically talk about their week. But generally they interview other fantasy artists as well. For some bizarre reason, their names escape me right now, which is really dumb. But it'll definitely be in the show notes. They're going to be the Inspirational Artists of the Week. Their show, the two of them together. So, I'm assuming it's just nerves for the reason I can't remember their names. But I am going to look it up as I talk to you here. The wonders of using voiceover. Anyway, the reason I was mentioning them is because the guests they had on today run a website where basically original art gets posted every day. These small originals, small format size, a lot like the sketchbook. They're smaller than usual, and it's a place for artists to it's sort of like a super Etsy kind of thing combined with the thrill of a daily auction. Although it's not really an auction. Artists will post images of small pieces of art that they've made, and every day one will get sold. Every day one will be featured, and they sell them through the site. You set your own price. It's sort of like eBay and Etsy combined with sort of a crowdsourcing mentality behind it, because the fans of the site are the ones fighting over these things every day, and it's also a chance for like everyday people to start sort of an art collection, because these are original pieces of art, oil paintings, sketches, the kind of thing that artists do in preparation for larger works, and therefore they're a bit cheaper than you would expect to pay for a full-size oil painting, of course. But being that they're still real works from professional artists, they're worthy of being collected, and it's actually a really good venue for people, like in my case, trying to get started out, and for people who are established and have all this extra process work just sort of sitting around, and they can't really, it's hard to promote that sort of thing yourself, because you can put pictures up on Instagram or Etsy or whatever, but to get to the market, you need to get to people who are willing to buy art but don't necessarily have the wherewithal or the knowledge to start collecting full-scale pieces. So this site actually helps that a great deal. Sorry, by the way, the hosts of One Fantastic Week, oh, it's not loading. Well, one of them is Sam Flegal, samflegal.com. His I remember because I funded one of his Kickstarters. The other one is Pete Mohrbacher. I think it's vandalhigh.com. Whatever link is in the description below will be the accurate link. He also had a Kickstarter recently. They both do Magic the Gathering cards, among other things, but Pete has been doing Kickstarters to sort of sell prints of his Magic the Gathering art. And Sam had a like a print collection of his Norse mythology sort of art. He does a lot of that stuff, which I dig it. I really like Norse mythology, and they're both really good guys. I learned a lot watching them about the industry and sort of how to do cons and make money at it. All kind of interesting things. And once I managed to get together a body of work that's anywhere decent enough to try to sell it, hopefully starting with some of this small format stuff, I'll definitely be heeding their advice. Just wanted to quickly throw in, they've also started a new thing they're doing, which is sort of a business illustration work camp thing. They're calling it One Fantastic Weekend. It's a 4-day process, sort of like Illustration Masterclass, except they're focusing more on the business of art. There's quite a lot of portfolio review and then art and painting and stuff like that with them. But a lot of their classes are going to be about the business of selling your art and promoting yourself and things like that. Stuff that they don't cover in school, and that artists desperately need these days, because the only way to make a living as an artist now is to self-promote and sell your own stuff with no kind of middleman or anything. The guests today were the founders of a website called Drawn and Drafted, as well as the Everyday Original is the name of the website I was talking about before, where they show and sell small original works every day. Check out both those if you're interested. There's some really cool stuff on there. And just the idea of the business model is very interesting to me. It's sort of reminiscent of the kind of thing that Jeff Lafferty's doing. I mentioned him before. He's also a hero of mine. He's sort of inspired me to do these daily video things, along with Kevin Cross and a bunch of other people. I always mention these guys because they're always helping me out here mentally and inspirationally. But what Jeff was doing was he would do a drawing video of doing a drawing or painting, and then he put it on eBay. So you sort of get that immediate response of what you can watch him make the thing, and then you can go buy the thing, which is pretty cool. I would like to try to do something like this. I've actually registered myself at another domain name to go with my many other ones, and I might try to set up something where I do a small format piece every so often and sell it directly like that. It might just be a front for an eBay store. Could be something like that. Could be just a link to an Etsy store, something like that. Maybe eventually I'll get some other fellow artists involved, and we can have our own little Australian version of Everyday Original. Should be good. Apparently, from the interview today, it's a significant effort to run this site, but they're taking art from all kinds of people, and they're showing a new piece of art every day. So they're probably a little more ambitious than what I would be with this. You'll notice in the drawing here, if you can make it out at all, I switched from the brush pen over blue line pencil to a marker. I just wanted to try a little color on the second drawing down here at the bottom. This marker was actually a lot drier than I thought it was, so the fine line tip part didn't work as well as I'd hoped. And I know you don't usually blend very much with the fine line tip part, but I was hoping at least these lines would be a little softer. But you'll see later I go back and blend in with the chisel tip, and it's okay. It's not bad. I did go back and embellish later with the brush pen again because it just felt like it wasn't enough with just the color. Just wanted to see what I could do with the fur, basically. Try it in a color version. These are all just ideas. I just wanted to finish out something, and I had this blue line sketch in my notebook, my little tiny sketchbook. That's actually watercolor paper, I believe, in this one. It's like 300 GSM watercolor paper. But it works really well with pretty much anything. I've done acrylic painting on it. I've done pen and ink. Markers are pretty good on it. Haven't come across anything that doesn't work too well on it. It's got a tiny bit of tooth, but it's alright. And being that it's watercolor paper, you can even use, gouache and watercolor, because that's kind of what it's for. Anyway, I digressed a little bit there, sorry. I think the business model for this would be good, because it would force me to get together a small body of work. It would also offer an immediate outlet to sell that work, or at the very least display that work, and not only generate income, but in my case, the more important thing would be to generate some interest. Try to get some eyes on my stuff. I post stuff relatively frequently. I'm doing these video things, but my reach is limited. I do greatly appreciate everyone who watches these videos and checks out my Tumblr and everything like that. It's amazing to me that anyone's interested at all, but I want to get as many people as I can to take a look at it, because the more people that see it, the more chance there is that the people who it's for, who dig it, will see it. And that's how you get into the business. That's pretty much how you get away from having to have a day job and being able to sell art all the time, which means you can make art all the time, which is sort of like my life dream, like a lot of people. Um, but yeah, it all starts with getting some eyes on your stuff, and I think anything you can do to help that is great. Um, and this sounds like it might be a good venue. I mean, it might be a way to go. Maybe eventually it could be something that, like I said, expands to other artists, not just locally here, but I mean, the internet, you can do anybody, and anyone in the world can do this. Maybe we could do sort of a sister site to to Everyday Original. That would be great too. At the moment, the impression I get is that Everyday Original is not only chock full of artists, meaning that it don't really have enough space for anybody else. It's also mostly professionals, like people with names, people that can bring traffic to their site. I kind of want to do the opposite. I want to set something up for people to build names. So to do that, you're pretty much going to have people coming to the site anyway. So I think the only way to do that really is time and stuff. So you want to build up a huge library of stuff on the site, and you want to drive people to it for long periods of time. Unfortunately, it's just going to take a little while. But theoretically, the payoff is once you get that going, people will come to the site to see new stuff and people they haven't heard of before. And that's when it sort of pays off, because that's a resource that's hard to come by. I mean, you can go to forums and you can post, and DeviantArt apparently used to be that kind of place, but it's like screaming into a crowded room now. It's just DeviantArt to me is it's just jam packed, and there's so much stuff on there. It's impossible to get seen. Anyway, there's what the drawing came out like. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your comments. Take it easy. Keep making stuff.